IKnowFood is a collaborative research project to understand the obstacles to food system resilience, and it will develop practical tools for farmers, for retailers and manufacturers, and also for consumers to enable them to respond better to the stresses and the shocks on the UK food system.
We've got real pressures in our world, pressures with population, pressures with sustainability. Where are we going to get this food and how are we going to make sure there's enough of it?
There's a growing trend in the world to understand where food is coming from and the impact that has on producers.
We need some way of simply enable consumers to make choices so that we can have resilient supply chains.
Food resilience is the ability of the system to adapt and also in some cases to transform itself and maintain a stable level of nutritious food supply. IKnowFood comprises of 4 different research themes. Theme 1, working with farmers. Theme 2, working with industry. Theme 3, working with consumers. And Theme 4, which is developing a resilience network right across the industry to really test and disseminate and to practice the use of the tools that we're going to produce from this collaborative research project.
My name's Jonathan Enser. I'm a senior researcher at the Stockholm Environment Institute. In Research Theme 1, we're looking to explore how new technologies can support farmers to improve their resilience, which means improving their environmental sustainability, but also the productivity that underpins their livelihoods. We're looking at new ways in which scientists, engineers and farmers can come together to develop new technologies. Then we're going to look at potential new technologies that could support farmers in increasing their resilience on farm. And then finally we're going to undertake a wide survey to explore whether or not those technologies and the approach that we've taken would help support their livelihoods as well as just a small sample of farmers that we've been working with.
My name is Tony Heron. I'm Professor of International Political Economy, and essentially what we're aiming to do is to identify the risks, vulnerabilities associated with the UK food system. We're going to be doing this by looking at the political risks, the environmental risks, and we're going to be looking also at the possibilities for promoting resilient supply chains given all of the environmental, the economic and the regulatory constraints that shape the British food system, and finding ways to promote more sustainable, more resilient patterns of production, patterns of trade, patterns of retail and patterns of consumption.
I'm Kate Pickett. I'm Professor of Epidemiology in the Department of Health Sciences here at the University of York. The research I'll be leading on is looking at consumers, trying to understand the choices that they make about the kinds of foods they buy and therefore the diets they have, how that affects their health and well-being in a system where it's actually hard for consumers to know much about the kinds of choices they're making and how those are impacted by global food systems. We're going to look at creating apps that they can use when they're shopping that will actually help them to understand what their food choices mean in terms of sustainable food production throughout the world.
The aim of IKnowFood is to bring together farmers, industry and also consumers together. The great exciting thing about IKnowFood is we're going to be in a really good position to develop solutions to these stresses that we've spoken about and really develop a world-class research programme.